The Überstein family was one of the wealthiest in all of Germany. Their name carried weight in politics, business, and land ownership. They had built an empire, but one shrouded in shadows. Lucas and Lena now oversaw their father's affairs. Udo Überstein, once sharp and commanding, had fallen ill in ways no doctor could explain. He wasted away slowly. His legs shriveled, his hair fell out in clumps, his eyes clouded to blindness. Toward the end, he coughed up a black tar-like substance that smelled of rot and burned iron. He requested to be taken to their ancestral country home to die in peace, with his wife Käthe by his side. On a grey Monday morning, Lucas received the call. His father had passed. The family returned to the country estate. The funeral was quiet, dignified. Guests came and left. But as the final car pulled away, a strange chill swept through the house. That night, as Lucas lay in bed, he heard something. A distant cry, a woman wailing. It wasn't new. Local legends spoke of a ghostly voice in the woods, a woman who mourned, a woman who cursed. Lena brushed it off, but Lucas couldn't sleep. He felt watched. The mirrors in the house had started to cloud unnaturally. His father's room, though untouched, reeked of burned soil. He wanted to return to the city. He convinced his mother and sister to prepare for departure. They would leave in 2 days. But on the last night, the horror began. It was past midnight when Lucas was jolted awake by a scream. Lena. He ran to her room, the door wide open, cold air rushing out like the room had been frozen shut for days. Lena stood trembling, pointing toward the mirror. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. And then he saw it. There was a woman in the glass, not a reflection. A real woman. Pale. Hair tangled with leaves. Skin dusted with ash. Eyes like dark, boiling clouds. Mouth opened wide, but instead of a scream, only a distant wail echoed in Lucas's ears. She vanished. Lena dropped to the ground, convulsing violently. Her limbs stiffened, her eyes rolled back, and then her body went limp. Breathless. Before Lucas could process it, their mother Käthe burst into the room. She froze mid-step. Her mouth moved like she was trying to speak, but no words came. Instead, a thin trail of blood ran from her eyes, and she collapsed, dead. Lucas stood in silence. The world around him had stopped breathing. Panicked, he stumbled into the hallway, trying to escape. But the house began to shift. Doors slammed shut on their own, windows sealed. The temperature dropped. Mirrors throughout the hallways started cracking, one by one, in slow, perfect spirals. And the wailing grew louder. It wasn't crying anymore. It was grief that had become its own language. Lucas fell to his knees, hands over his ears, the sound pounding in his skull. He tried to scream, but no voice came. The wail crawled into his bones, rooting him to the ground. Then, silence. From the far end of the corridor, a shadow stepped forward. A woman, frail, drenched in pain and rage. Her eyes shimmered with old sorrow. Her gown was soaked in dirt and something darker. Her hands bruised and shaking. She was beautiful, but wrong. Like something that had been human once, but chose not to stay that way. She was still crying, but not for help, not for mercy. She wept the way a storm weeps on a grave it cannot drown. Lucas couldn't move. The air around him wasn't air anymore. It was grief, thick and choking. The pale woman walked toward him slowly, like her feet weren't quite touching the ground. Her eyes were wells of pain. Her mouth trembled, not from fear, from memory. She knelt. Her voice was quiet, but it broke the silence like glass.
There was once a woman. Her name was Sarah. She lived in a small village, just west of where this cursed house now sits. Not rich, just living. Her husband, Jakob, was a hunter. He'd go out with his rifle and traps, return with meat to sell. She was a seamstress. She made clothes, fixed blankets, stitched life together with bare hands. And they had children. Adelina, their first, barely 18, kind-eyed, bright. And Yannick, their boy, 13, curious, always asking why the stars moved. Then came war. Men were taken from their homes, forced to fight battles they never started. Jacob returned wounded in one leg, but Sarah thanked God. He came home alive. Then came the thieves, men who pretended to fight for justice, but were nothing more than beasts. And they came with fire.
The shadows around her trembled.
They burned the old houses first, beat the elders, dragged the girls, stole the boys. They raped and they laughed. And when they came to Sarah's door, Jacob tried. He grabbed a hunter's knife, stabbed one in the chest, picked up the man's gun, shot another. But there were too many. They slit his throat, held Sarah and her children down, made them watch. And then they took them, dragged them into the woods, used them like animals, hurt them until they couldn't even cry anymore.
Her face twitched. Her voice cracked.
Adelina died first. She had nothing left to give. Yannick, they sold. A boy with soft hands and big eyes. Someone paid for him. Sarah, they kept. The man who led the raid wasn't like the others. He believed in rituals. He thought blood could buy power. He carved symbols into Sarah's skin, spread ash around her, whispered ancient words. He called to gods he didn't understand. But something else heard first. It stood now. Its shadow stretched like a tree. Sarah was close to death, so she could see it. Sarah lay there, body broken, beside her daughter's corpse. She couldn't speak, couldn't scream, but she whispered anyway. I know I'm not going to heaven. I am too torn, too stained, too ruined. Let the gates stay shut. Let the angels turn their faces. I don't want mercy. I want wrath. So hear me now. Demons of the deep, gods of the roots, things that feed on pain. Take my soul, twist it, forge it. Make me your weapon. Let my name be a curse. Let my grief be a plague. Let my rage travel through their bloodlines. 100 generations. Every time they step foot on this land, let them know I am still here. Sarah died, but something else rose. They didn't get far. She hunted them down, one by one. Men burst into flames. Their eyes boiled in their skulls. One walked into a river and never came back up. But the leader, the one who carved her, she let him live. He begged, pleaded, promised anything. So she gave him a deal. He would live. He would have wealth, land, a name people feared. He would have a family. But she would always return. She would take all but one. One son, always left behind. Just as only her son was spared. So the story could be told again. So the curse would never die. And generation after generation, they agreed. Every one of them.
She turned to face Lucas directly now, her voice calm, icy.
Just like your father did. Just like his father before him.
And then she smiled, not cruel, not kind, just tired.
You know, Lucas, it's very rude of me. I never told you my name. But you already know, don't you?
She whispered.
My name was Sarah.
The house was still. No more screaming, no cracking glass, just silence. Sarah, the wailing woman, stood before Lucas, her expression unreadable. Her face flickered for a moment, between pain and peace, woman and spirit. Her lips parted once more.
Deal or die.
Lucas didn't speak. He looked down at his trembling hands, thought of his sister's body, his mother's blank stare. He looked at Sarah and didn't see a monster. He saw a mother. And for a moment, maybe he understood. The lights in the house flickered. Then everything went black. Years later, a little boy, maybe 5 or 6, sits in a quiet room in Berlin. He hums softly as he draws on the wall with red crayon. His mother calls to him from the kitchen.
Liam, what are you drawing?
No answer. She walks in and freezes. There on the wall, a crayon drawing. A crying woman standing in the woods. A man kneeling in front of her. A burning house behind them. And a word scrawled at the top in a child's handwriting. Soon. The cycle continues.